In 1992, Nintendo introduced the world to Kirby, the cute little marshmallow with a vacuum cleaner's appetite. Initially white due to the Game Boy's lack of color, the now pink protagonist would get a platforming adventure on the aging NES the next year. But Kirby fanatics would have to wait 4 more years before getting a mainline 16-bit platforming adventure. In the interim, 3 Kirby spin-off games were released for the Super Nintendo. The first, Kirby's Dream Course, became an unexpected obsession of mine. We'll dive into why that was and explore the bizarre origins of this charming little spin-off in this edition of
Continued Education.
HAL Laboratory has been developing games for Nintendo since the very beginning of the NES era, including 2 of the original 16 launch titles. But it wasn't until 1992's Kirby's Dream Land for the Game Boy that HAL debuted their most iconic character. Famously named for John Kirby, the lawyer who successfully defended Nintendo in a copyright suit against Universal Studios, Kirby was way too cute to be denied. Gamers fell in love with his aesthetic, less punishing game difficulty, and exciting skill-stealing superpowers. While waiting for a mainline platforming adventure on the SNES, Kirby fans were treated to a trio of spin-off games. The first, Kirby's Dream Course, was released for the Super Nintendo in 1994. The game is a retooling of HAL's Special T-Shot, originally intended as an SNES title. It sort of simulates a game of miniature golf. Players shoot Kirby around 8 different 8-hole courses. Each course is infested with new obstacles and enemies. Like Kirby's platforming games, he can absorb the abilities of his enemies to aid him in overcoming increasingly challenging obstacles. Kirby has to make contact with every enemy laid out on each hole, and when he does, the final enemy transforms into a hole that Kirby must roll, spin, or dive into. The objective, just like mini-golf, is to do so in as few shots as possible. This brings us to the game's true joy, its replayability. To those familiar with the power bar, spin bar mechanic of most golf simulations, the endgame is relatively easy to achieve. The real challenge of Kirby's Dream Course is going back and perfecting each hole to earn the best score on each course. As with real golf, the challenge lies in finding the best strategy to tackle each hole, then attempting to successfully execute that strategy. Then attempting to string together several successful executions in a row. Nothing hurts more than hitting a hole-in-one for the first time on a hole, and then following it up by completely eating it on the next hole. The game excels on its simplicity and discovering each challenge along the way, so I won't go into too much detail about the courses themselves, but I do want to point out some especially charming details I always loved. Instead of just typing your name at the file select stage, you're offered a small canvas you can draw on. The game offers a few preset stamps if you're not feeling particularly creative. Also, after you complete a course, you're treated to the delightful song and dance by Kirby and his 2 clones from previous Kirby adventures. If you've never experienced Kirby's Dream Course, I highly suggest you check it out. The original SNES game cart can be purchased secondhand for under $30. Or you can play it on the SNES Classic Edition. Or you can play it on your Nintendo Switch. Before long, you'll be craving to hear this over and over again. Like this video and want more like it? You know what to do. Don't make me beg.